What is the darkest historical photograph from your country? Part 3. Residential schools in Canada. Meant to remove the Indian from the child, children were forcibly removed from their homes and placed in these schools, stripped of their language and culture, beaten into submission, sexually abused, sterilized without consent, murdered and experimented on. True Canadian genocide. And yes, experimented on via starvation and nutritional deficient food, it resulted in the Canadian food pyramid we often saw taught in classes. This photo was taken after the discovery of 200+ remains of children who attended Kamloops residential school. The shoes and toys represent the children who were killed. Canada had 140 of these schools. 150,000 people attended residential schools. Most of these schools were ran by Roman Catholic Church. The last school closed down in 1996. The estimated death count of those 140 schools is 4,000 confirmed deaths, with 1/5 of the school/documents to still be investigated. Oradour-sur-Glane, a French village where 642 French civilians were killed by the Das Reichswaffen SS. An act to send a strong signal to the French resistance. They shot people in the street, put women and children in the church, blocked the door and burned it. October 6, 1944. On mobile and won't let me post the pic with text. This is the class that was massacred in Dunblane in 1996. 5- and 6-year-old pupils and their teacher. The perpetrator was a pedophile who had argued with an MP who lived in Dunblane because the MP was against him starting a young boys club and the MP's son went to that school. He then shot himself. After this, mass gun reforms took place, and we have thankfully never had another tragedy like this. Victoria Elizabeth Clydesdale, age 5, Emma Elizabeth Crozier, age 5, Melissa Helen Curry, age 5, Charlotte Louise Dunn, age 5, Kevin Allen Hazel, age 5, Ross William Irvine, age 5, David Charles Kerr, age 5, Myri Isabel McBeath, age 5, Gwen Mayer, age 45, teacher, Brett McKinnon, age 6, Abigail Joanne McLennan, age 5, Emily Morton, age 5, Sophie Jane Lockwood North, age 5, John Petrie, age 5, Joanna Caroline Ross, age 5, Hannah Louise Scott, age 5, Megan Turner, age 5. Not a photograph, as photography was very rare at the time, but a picture showing a starving mother and her 3 starving children during Engordamore. The Great Famine in Ireland 1845–1852, more than 1 million Irish starved to death during this period. While many times enough food to save all the starving was exported from the country at gunpoint by the British, the population of Ireland was reduced by over 20%. As aside from the million deaths, millions fled the hunger and left Ireland. Ireland is the only country in the world with a lower population now than in the 1840s as a result of this preventable famine. The epigenetic scarring effect continues to influence the health profiles of the Irish population even to this day. Maybe this one. It's the massacre of the Selknam people in the south of Chile and Argentina. In the photo you can see hunters confronting them, and an indigenous man already dead, with his bow still in his hands. This happened on the island of Tierra del Fuego. To be honest, the island is divided, half is Argentina and the other half Chile. I don't know exactly on which side this photo was taken, but what is shown happened across the entire island. About 93% of them were killed. Also thought about a photo taken of Chile's government palace, filled with smoke and debris as it was being bombed, marking the beginning of one of the most violent dictatorships in the world, which lasted 17 years. One of your countrymen posted this on a similar thread a while ago, and it haunts me. Even as an American worn down by gun violence, seeing a guy dressed like that and armed just feet from kids walking to school is crazy. The Tangeway disaster. Christmas Eve 1953. The dam holding back Mount Ruapehu Crater Lake failed, causing a lahar that collapsed the nearby railway bridge. A nearby motorist attempted to warn the train's conductor of the bridge's collapse. However, it was too late as 7 of the 11 carriages plunged into the river, killing 151 people. It is believed that without the motorist, more deaths could have occurred. This was during the high Arctic relocation in the 50s. Basically, the Canadian government forcefully relocated several Inuit families in the Arctic to use as human flagpoles to reinforce Canadian sovereignty in the region. Due to the fact that they were dropped in an unfamiliar environment and were not given enough food and resources, some ended up starving to death. Eventually, they ended up adapting to the environment, and some of their descendants still live in the region, but it is still a reminder of how Canada always has been treating Indigenous people as expendable. Forcible conversion of Serbs. Photos from photo agency Zagreb. Croatian Nazis sometimes offered Serb civilians a chance to convert to Catholicism in exchange for a promise of not getting killed. Of course, the promise would be broken after conversion and they would be slaughtered just like the rest. The purpose of conversion was issuing new identities, Croatian first and last names, and also fake birth certificates, just in case they lose the war. This way they could claim that slaughtered civilians were Croatianas. The most horrible thing is the fact that Catholic clergymen not only forcibly converted people but also directly took part in the massacres. Evil knows no boundaries. IMO. This photo of women on Sprogo. Between 1923 and 1961, the Sprogo-based Kellersk Institute housed 500 sexually loose and mentally ill women whose only hope of leaving was agreeing to be sterilized. The story of the Kellersk Institute began in 1923 in a Europe still reeling from World War I and the Russian Revolution, convinced that the very fabric of civilization was under attack. Unemployment figures had swelled, as had the instances of sexually transmitted disease. Loose sexual morals were blamed for a myriad of social problems, and there was a focus on sexually active women as the spreaders of disease. The practice of eugenics, which proposed the selection of the fittest and the gradual decline of the genetically weak, came into vogue. It was perceived that there were many women who had very low sexual morality, explained John. It was believed Denmark would be flooded by defective people, so you had to intervene through sterilization.